faithfully delivering value and interpreting great books globally. Hi, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today, I'll interpret the book Opening the Mind for you. The subtitle is Key Thinking for Life Breakthroughs. What is the mind? If the brain is our thinking hardware, then the mind is the thinking software. It pulls together all the info and feedback from your growth, creating a cognitive framework for how the world works. Behind everything we do and show, it's these mind frameworks working. Like under stress, why do some drown in mental drain but others breeze through? Or building habits, why do some quit fast but others stick it out? That's how minds differ from person to person. How can we use our minds to level up? Today's book can help you tackle these issues. The author Lee Rui Chu has decades in psychology and cognitive science research. He dives into the mind's core principles and brain workings to tackle real-life problems, like emotional struggles, low drive, hating learning, and more. There are 7 chapters, and I'll cover them in 2 parts. First up, I'll explore the brain's 4 core principles. They're the 4 pillars of the mind world, showing why bad habits stick. Part 2 covers emotion control, habit building, and smart learning to tweak your mind for self-improvement. First, the brain's 4 base principles: saving energy, staying stable, predicting, and feedback. They're all linked and build our minds. First, saving energy. It's how the brain uses little power for outside shifts. We know life actions burn energy, especially deep thinking. Evolution-wise, to live better, we must manage energy smarter. Intake, store it, dodge waste, to save resources for tougher threats and changes. That's what drives the brain to evolve. So, how does the brain pick what to save energy on and what to pour resources into? The brain's processing modes fall into 2 categories: automatic processing and controlled processing. Automatic processing refers to behaviors that don't require attention. They're handled by the brain through routine pathways. Like when you're doing daily routines, eating, or walking a familiar route, your brain uses automatic processing. Controlled processing involves behaviors needing focused attention, where the brain consciously thinks about how to operate. For example, when facing a new work task or learning a new skill, your brain activates controlled processing mode. But when in controlled mode, the brain constantly tries to convert it to automatic processing to maximize energy savings. This conversion process is how the brain continually adjusts our mental framework. Say you need to handle a new work task. How would you start? The simplest approach? Link it to known tasks. Compare similarities and differences, then predict its nature and handling. That's exactly how the brain operates in controlled processing mode, diligently absorbing information every second. It uses this data to build internal models, refining them to better match reality. Thus, new tasks gradually become familiar territory for automatic processing. Based on this improving model, the brain quickly analyzes future tasks too. Is it familiar or unfamiliar? Important or trivial? Does it need resource conservation or concentration? So why are habits so stubborn? Because habits are essentially automated systems, the brain's most comfortable, energy-efficient state. Changing habits means consciously using controlled processing to replace old behaviors with new ones. This battles instinct, requiring deliberate effort and repetition. The brain's second rule is stability. It always prefers maintaining the status quo, seeking certainty, familiarity, and control to feel secure and preserve mental order. You could say the brain's pursuit of stability is the main culprit holding back our growth. Ever notice that? When we're young, we're always eager to embrace new things and fascinated by everything. But as we age and experience more, we tend to become closed off, stubborn, fearful of change, stuck in familiar routines day after day. Why is that? The main reason is when we're young, our brains are busy absorbing all kinds of info, integrating and building a model of the external world. Now, at this stage, any fresh stimulus could become part of our mental model, so we're naturally drawn to it. Once a mental model is set up, the focus shifts to patching and maintaining it. That's why we start rejecting surprises and changes. Because surprises and changes mean our existing mental model is flawed and needs a major overhaul. This is super energy draining, so the brain instinctively resists it. Modern anxiety is basically the brain's fear of the unknown and uncertainty, and its stability chase makes people stubborn and hard to change. Once the brain builds a mental model, we form preset stances on everything. If you get info that clashes with expectations, the brain gets confused and opts for an easier path, selectively accepting stuff that fits your views, reinforcing beliefs. That's classic cognitive dissonance theory. People only hear what they want to hear, which is why seniors falling for health supplements keeps happening. No matter how much kids or educators try to inform them, it's useless. It's the elders' refusal to admit mistakes that traps them in cognitive dissonance. Plus, the brain's resistance to change makes breaking bad habits tough. It adjusts your body to fix abnormalities. For example, when you suddenly start dieting and exercising, your body burns calories fast at first, but your brain quickly adapts you to the intensity. With the same workout, you burn fewer calories and your brain makes you eat more, leaving you hungrier after exercise to fill the energy gap. So, why is it so tough for us to truly change ourselves? Because any state or behavior deviating from the stable baseline is abnormal to the brain, needing correction. The brain's third principle is prediction. Building models to anticipate the world, its fundamental way to understand and solve problems. Every moment, the brain gathers external data to refine its predictive models, then uses them to tackle future challenges. All our information intake and actions train the brain. So the mental insight, the brain follows use it or lose it, it's moldable. When a stimulus repeats, it boosts priority for related neuron nodes. When two info bits consistently link, it creates a shorter pathway between them. This lets neural networks react faster to outside stimuli. This constantly optimized neural model becomes our mental framework, how the brain thinks the world should operate. In 2000, research found London's veteran taxi drivers had larger, more active hippocampi than average due to memorizing complex routes. The hippocampus handles spatial memory and navigation. Constant, intense use made these drivers' brains assume they lived in hippocampus-demanding environments. So the brain channeled more resources there, densening neural connections for efficient info transfer. Growth is essentially the brain making effortful tasks effortless. The mechanism? The brain focuses resources on relevant functions, helping us adapt to our environment. The final brain principle is feedback. It rewards survival-friendly behaviors with pleasure to reinforce them. And this feedback relies on a specific chemical. Dopamine? Many link it to happiness or love. Actually, it's a neurotransmitter passing messages between neurons, not creating joy, but firing up our reward circuit. When activated, this circuit fuels powerful drive and passion.
Makes us want to act instantly.
Dopamine helps spot survival-friendly behaviors during exploration, tags them, and amps up our drive to chase rewards, like how falling in love or drinking boba tea spikes dopamine. Both trigger this reward system. Romance and sugar boost survival and reproduction, so the brain rewards these behaviors. But in modern society, this reward circuit got hijacked. Sellers now engineer addictive info snacks targeting this circuit to lock us as consumers. Think endless, bizarre short videos or juicy gossip content. These brainless treats deliver constant novelty, easily triggering rewards, trapping us in addiction. If you're often unmotivated, just scrolling in bed feeling empty, your reward circuit might be spoiled. Its natural dopamine production, your inner drive, has weakened. These four brain principles explain complex models. Life's phenomena and behaviors boil down to these. The self-improvement strategies we'll discuss next, rooted in these principles. So how do we use them to manage emotions, build discipline, fuel drive, and grow for life? Let's break it down. First, emotion management. Remember, emotions aren't monsters to fear. What's their essence? Evolutionarily, emotions are the brain's alarm system, helping us react fast to survive threats. As covered in Part 1, our brains inherently crave stability, and negative emotions throw them into instability, forcing us to act quickly to restore balance. But with society's rapid changes, more people struggle with emotional issues like anxiety, irritability, and fear. Studies show these three emotions closely linked to the amygdala prefrontal cortex pathway. The amygdala sits mid-lower in the brain, identifying threats and triggering emotional responses. This function was crucial in ancient times. Higher threat sensitivity meant better survival odds, passing those genes forward. But today, it's become hyperactive.
Our environment's no longer life-threatening.
Yet, our threat detection still works over time, causing distress instead. For example, encountering danger in the wild triggered fear or anxiety signals, sparking reactions like rapid heartbeat and blood flow, helping ancient humans respond fast. Fight or flee. Once the threat passed, emotions vanished. But modern society created new stressors, unstable jobs, mortgages, parenting pressures that our sensitive brains now flag as threats. And we can't fight or flee our way out of these. So modern people get trapped in chronic anxiety, even developing health issues. How do we balance and ease this emotional burden? This involves the amygdala prefrontal pathway's other component, the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is a vital part of the brain's cerebral cortex. As the name suggests, it's at the frontal lobe's forefront, forehead area, handling high-level functions like decision-making, planning, abstract thinking, and strategy. Among these, inhibition is a fundamental, critical function. The prefrontal cortex acts as the brain's command center, suppressing random thoughts, impulses, and behaviors, cooling our emotions, making space for rational thought, and preventing impulsive reactions. Why does alcohol make people lose their minds?
Making all sorts of absurd choices?
Because alcohol weakens the prefrontal cortex's inhibitory control over the brain. Since the amygdala and prefrontal cortex inhibit each other, strengthening our prefrontal cortex is the scientific way to suppress amygdala activity and reduce negative emotions. And that was the best exercise? Use it more. Face new scenarios, tackle fresh problems, engage its functions in calculation, planning, analysis, building calm thinking habits. The author shares daily practices to boost emotional immunity. If anxiety-prone, create a worry box. Dedicate 15 to 30 minutes daily to process anxious thoughts. This time slot is your worry box. Outside this window, don't dwell on anxieties. Just note them without disrupting life. During worry box time, make a table. Left column lists worries. Right column records if they happened and their impact. You'll discover most worries never materialize. Left column packed, while the nearly blank right column brings comfort and courage against anxiety. The author also suggests cultivating new hobbies for relaxation and distraction, and active socialization to draw healing power from connections. Also, take sunny walks to enjoy scenery when possible. This effectively boosts serotonin, the mood-regulating neurotransmitter, whose steady levels bring calm and resilience. These small actions build resistance to negativity, improving health. Over time, they become pillars supporting emotional control. Next, we'll explore the second question: how to stick to something long-term without being forced. Many people say they lack self-discipline and can't stick to things long-term. People often blame willpower, labeling themselves as weak-willed, giving laziness an excuse. But is that really true? Let's rewind a bit. The concept of willpower dates back to around 1970 with Dr. Walter Mischel's Stanford marshmallow experiment. He left a group of kids in a room, each with one marshmallow, saying they could eat it now, but if they waited 15 minutes, they'd get two.
If you can't resist and eat it now, you get nothing else.
The results showed that kids who waited performed better in life, relationships, SAT scores, peer reviews, than those who ate it. Mischel believed those who waited had stronger willpower, called delayed gratification. They resisted temptation better and were more likely to succeed socially as adults.
However, in 2018, NYU assistant professor Tyler re-examined the experiment and found the belief that strong willpower makes you better is wrong.
He pointed out a strong willpower isn't why a child succeeds. Personal growth results from two factors: good cognitive abilities and a nurturing environment. Kids who showed better delayed gratification often had good cognitive skills. Plus, a good environment and care made them trust the world helping them grow into better adults. But strong willpower and becoming better in the future, there's no statistical cause effect. They just correlate, so it's been mistakenly seen as causal for years. Therefore, fundamentally, there's no innate willpower controlling us or determining laziness. Breaking free from willpower myths, we see only two reasons for quitting: insufficient motivation or overwhelming resistance to change. When resistance outweighs drive, we hesitate. So, what's true self-discipline? Simply put, it's keeping motivation stronger than resistance, so you passionately pursue goals. Many disciplined people aren't masochists. They find joy in the process. That joy could be solving problems, proving yourself, or inching toward a target. Ultimately, they believe in their actions and feel their value. So how do we become more disciplined? Boost motivation while reducing resistance. That's the effective mindset. The author suggests a system optimization method with 3 steps. First, set a vision framework. Clarify your goals. What outcomes do I want? How should this change my life? This builds initial momentum. Step 2, create a simple system to gradually adjust lifestyle. Don't rush into rigid daily plans or 3-month deadlines. Just focus on process, not results. Those plans often fail. Ask, if I simplify all changes to one thing, what would it be? Take exercise. Commit to just 15 minutes of cardio daily. Don't obsess over weight. Savor the activity's joy and subtle changes it brings, like more energy or better sleep. Final step, optimize and iterate the system. Once step 2 makes it habitual, reflect and strategize. Am I closer to my goal now? But one more action could push me further, and so on. For example, once daily 15-minute exercise becomes your habit, you can start building a new, simple system around diet, like cutting snacks after 8 p.m., progressing step by step over time. You'll find yourself achieving health goals you once thought impossible, almost without noticing. In summary, set the framework, create the simplest system, focus on process over outcome, then optimize continuously until your vision materializes. This method replaces forced discipline with proactive self-drive, letting good habits naturally permeate your life as your brain's new normal. The final common question: how to build a lifelong learning system for continuous growth. Note: exam-focused education and lifelong learning follow different logics, and we're often trapped by the former. It breeds 2 major learning misconceptions. First, treating learning like test taking. For instance, we read to gain knowledge, but many subconsciously treat books as test questions. Finishing them becomes the answer. This confuses means with ends. We stop caring about interests, what fascinates me, and focus on completion. I must finish it. Not insights gained, but books read. Not methods learned or ideas generated, but notes taken or content memorized. The second misconception: chasing shortcuts and minimal effort. In part 1, we discussed the brain's energy-saving principle. In learning, we similarly seek effortless paths, like pursuing crash courses or collecting knowledge by copying passages verbatim. But learning has no shortcuts. Its value depends entirely on your mental engagement. Content only becomes knowledge when you've digested it yourself. So, how do we learn effectively for life and manage acquired knowledge? The author stresses, learning isn't an end goal nor self-torture. Its purpose is simple: own it, use it. All knowledge we gain ultimately serves to deepen our understanding of the world and guide our actions. This ties back to the brain's prediction mechanism we discussed earlier. Building on this, the author proposes the INKP knowledge management method, where INKP stands for inbox, note, knowledge, and project folders. He suggests dividing your note system into these 4 folders, letting knowledge flow and internalize naturally, preventing our shortcut-seeking brain from superficial learning. Ultimately, this method helps you build detailed mental knowledge maps like London taxi drivers' navigation skills. First, during reading or learning, capture all gathered information and sparked inspirations. Temporarily store them in the I inbox folder as a holding area, then schedule dedicated time to process them systematically. This keeps your reading flow uninterrupted and maintains deep focus. Step 2. When processing your inbox, dive deeper into interesting concepts through active learning and research to develop richer notes. Move these to the EndNote folder. They become conceptual building blocks of your knowledge system. Next, when you've accumulated enough concept notes and spot logical connections between them, integrate them. Create a new note to synthesize them. This becomes a knowledge note. Store Knowledge Hub. Store knowledge notes in the K folder, your repository for everything known about a specific topic. In other words, what do I know about this subject? Finally, when starting life and work projects, create project notes in the P folder for overall coordination. These serve as mission control centers, consolidating all essential information. Post project experiences and reviews, then feed back into concept or knowledge notes, becoming new integrated knowledge. So that's the basic INKP framework. Knowledge just hoarded away never does any good. Only when knowledge flows, repeatedly refined by your thinking, guiding practice, and gaining feedback, does it grow. Through continuous self-improvement, it creates real value and fuels your lifelong growth. That's the book's core message. Wisdom isn't out of reach. Keep drawing nourishment from the world and making it your own. Use it. Gradually, the world transforms before your eyes. All right, that wraps up our Opening the Mind session. Find show notes below. See you next time.